incredibly. So it was Cynthia Toronto my whole life. And I would love to apologize to my mother for that. Seriously, Cynthia Toronto, every time somebody takes a picture of me at an event, she's there in the picture. How does this happen? It's like the ghost that walks beside me. Fabulous. She's read. She came out to read for us out of the barn one time. It's about 2 years ago, and she's still talking about my wife. Why, I don't know. I thought she was quite well behaved. Cynthia Toronto, you have seen her many times, anybody that's been on the scene here in New York City, many different locations, and she always surprises me. When we started doing the Greenwich Village Bistro, first time she showed up, I was like, I know she's like a polymath, she can do anything, but can she stand up there with the jazz musicians? Boy, did she bring it. So when she said that she was bringing Steve Wishnia, who, by the way, this guy's got such a beautiful resume that I'm going to apply for a job with him after the show.
Couldn't pay you.
I'm serious. This guy was like, I don't know, like executive editor of High Times or something. Is that true?
News editor.
Only the news editor of High Times. That's all. And in addition to being just a fabulous musician. Now we're going to hear from the two of them together. This is going to be a first for me. I'm really excited by this. That's why I'm starting to stumble over my words. So please, if you're ready for it, Steve. You need to like fuss? Doesn't need to fuss. We're ready for Cynthia Toronto and Steve Wishnia. Please welcome them.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here. Steve always makes me look a lot better. So I'm so happy that he's here. And thank you so much, George, for that. Oh, that's really good. That's my I Love Lucy moment already. That's really exciting, huh? I call that, I have a book called related to I Love Lucy. Hi, Russ. That's a really great beginning, isn't it? Oh, boy. Okay. Expanding Universe. I guess this is a musical music stand, right? She swallowed half the world, savoring the spices and exotic flavors jammed into her intestinal tract quickly and effortlessly, synthesizing her newly acquired taste into a future palette of vibrant colors and unknown shapes yet to be discovered, ready to absorb all that is possible. Thank you. This poem is going to be published in Patricia Carrigan's Brownstone Poets upcoming anthology. And I want to do this for a couple reasons, because it will be included in that anthology. And a dear friend of mine, John, back here, shares with me, I'm half Croatian, my mother's pure Croatian, and John here is part Croatian too, even he's even gone there. And this is a poem I wrote in tribute to my late grandmother, who we called Baba, my mother's mother, and inspired also by Terence McKenna's amazing book of a similar title. Family stew, food for the gods. Her worn, rough hands rub against her inaugural, her immigrant past, as she grabs the paring knife, peeling away the layers of potato skin, promising her sustenance despite her 8 years of education. She cuts the carrots into large solid rounds, restoring the crunch of her vision with vitamin A and carotene, peering through the hazy lens of her aged years. She quarters the large cubes of beef shank, propelling its protein juices into recurring flashes of her shoeless, motherless childhood on the dark blue sea beaches of Dalmatia in the old country Yugoslavia. She slices the sweet, rich tomatoes encased in the 35 years of canning them in the Burkett Richards factory assembly line, maintaining her economic stamina. She chops the onions and garlic to spice up the repeated daily ritual of rising at 5 a.m., packing the children's lunches, and gulping the homemade red wine at each day's end. She shakes the salt and pepper to savor the few fantasies she still has left, and the flavors simmer and spread, stewing for 3 hours, nurturing a lifetime of endurance and steadfastness. Where the house is still clean and secure, and the shiny car is still parked in the garage, and the clothes, sheets, and pillowcases are still laundered, folded, and pressed carefully in their place. As Wall Street falls down, crumbling in its foundations, her family ingests this delicious stew that is historically preserved and lives gloriously in our gastric, blissful memory.
Brava, brava.
Isn't this man wonderful? How many instruments do you have in your apartment, Steve?
I don't know, but my ex-girlfriend calls me the instrument cat lady, and she said, I mean that as a compliment, several years after we split up.
Yeah, he's been in klezmer bands, the False Prophets. Remember the infamous, I'm from California originally, I'm a transplant, but he was in the infamous False Prophets, does klezmer bands, almost every music style imaginable. And I love working with Steve. I've done a lot of work for many years since the early 80s, especially from composers in LA and California, and in combining poetry and text with music and sound. And the thing I love about Steve is if he makes me look so much better and just soothes me and relaxes me. I have a very overwhelming schedule for the next week, and he can almost improvise and structure almost anything to any text, and this man is just a joy to work with. He's so versatile. Anyway, and I was in a couple bands too, and I have an improv background, so as an actor and an improvisationalist, and I love working with anyone who can improvise on the stage in any form, and especially musically, so that's a treat. This next poem has been included in the anthology published this last year by Small's book called New York, what was it called? New York Subways, New York City Poems. No, that's not the exact title. Subways. It's the whole book. It was such an honor to be included, as is George and some of you in this room, because it features historical, well-known writers who wrote about subways, and also those of us living in the 21st century writing about subways. And when I first moved here over 13 years ago from California, ironically, I have a whole book of subway poems called Transiting the Underground. And ironically, Jerry LaFemina chose the very first poem I ever wrote when I first arrived here and was struck by my experience riding the subways. Q-Talk. The clankering pound of her voice crashes into my skull, breaking apart the pieces of my thoughts splattered there on the ground. Details of her private life are blaringly announced like trumpets at an assumed royal coronation that I did not ask to be invited. I'm going to get down with him in half an hour. She spills out in an oozing hot lava, burning onto a once luscious, fertile land that now lays there dried up and lifeless. The screeching wheels of the subway overtake her unrelenting jabber as she exits to her stop, and the quack quack of her life disappears amid the soothing hum of the train that welcomes me back and provides steady nourishment to my deoxygenated plant. No words, no confessions, no sudden fuck piss shit to interrupt my already overcrowded, overabsorbed mind. When I first moved here and rode these cars, I was struck by the staring, blank faces and usual silent, isolated worlds sitting there, containing themselves. Now I understand and crave it, knowing that I am enough.
Bravo.
This is a piece also that has, originally is an older piece I wrote in Los Angeles that has an original music composition to it. Steve is gonna add some elements to it. It's called, it's a subject that I find as I get older, I'm kind of surprised. Oh, Jane, there's Jane. I thought that was you. I love Jane. Thought that was the back of your head, the bob. As I got older, I found myself experiencing these moments, and it would be interesting to know how many of you, as you've gotten older, experience your parents slowly seeping into you. Child in a woman's body. My roots are coming out of the ground, and the new growth is showing and spreading over the old skin. But I'm still a child. I'm still a child in a woman's body. I cook the meal so well, play the perfect host. I clear the table and cock my head with a sideways smile, waiting for your approval. Oh, is that you, Mom? I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. But I'm not you. I'm somewhere in between the seeds and the genes. I work so hard to keep up the drive and go for the goal that aims so right, and rest assured that we're secure. Oh, is that you, Dad? I finish the day's work, check all the details, raise my eyebrows, smile in my pride, then reward myself with a martini and lean back in my chair. Oh, is that you, Dad? I greet you with a hug and send you my love. Take care of your needs, whether food or things, and want your thanks for all the help I give. Oh, is that you, Mom? I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. But I'm not you. I'm somewhere in between the seeds and the jeans. And I'm not you. And I'm not me yet. But I'm still a child. I'm still a child in a woman's body.
Bravo, bravo.
I'm an oddball compared to some. There's some of us out there, and I'm an actor first, and I entered the poetry spoken word arena since the early '80s because I wanted to perform my own material after I did stand-up comedy for a while, and so I came at it probably. I'd only written original plays through improvisation and all the companies I found and were in as an actor. So I came at it maybe from a different angle than some of you who were always first writers. I think I wrote my first poem at age 16, but I didn't really commit to writing solo work until maybe, well, I won't say the year. But I want to, Alan, I'm going to be doing an Armenian grandmother and multi roles. Sure want to talk to you because that last piece slightly relates to some of the work I just heard from you, and I sure need to learn my Armenian accent. I'm doing a show at Theater for the New City in May, and I get to play 3 multi roles based upon a lost William Saroyan novel called The Upper Lip. So I have a mustache, even. I actually have a mustache.
You know, I have a friend who's Armenian. I said, you know, between you being Armenian and me being Jewish,
Oh, we're in trouble, man.
we're part of like the 2 most genocided groups in history.
We're deep shit, man. This is too much.
And she said, I'm in the 3rd, women.
Yeah. But I went, oh boy, do I need to talk to him. So anyway, this last piece has original music by Drew Lesso from LA, also electronic keyboards, but I never get to do it very much because it's a longer character piece, and Steve thought it would be kind of interesting to do it today and improvise musically with it. This is based upon, in tribute to the 1950s housewife myth. Not so, Donna. I always wanted to be Donna Reed. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be loved. And I wanted to be popular. And I wanted to be a good mother. I always wanted what I meant to be. But somewhere along the way, I just couldn't be Donna. I had everything. The husband, the house, the car, the mortgage, the family, and the 5-figure income. But it was nothing. And somewhere along the way, my life started resembling the soap operas I watched. And I just couldn't be Donna. I found myself drinking a little each day. Imagine a really big vodka bottle. So I could fill in the spaces. And I started feeling a lot better. I could cope with things. I could be someone that I never was before. But my kids didn't like finding their mom on the floor when they came home from school. And my husband didn't like my throwing furniture at him. And he didn't like my swearing. It was a day I can't get through today. And then eventually, one night, in between about $30 worth of drinks, and the strange men I had met at the bars, I just had to have one more. I just had to have one more. Somehow, I wound up on the street all beaten up. I was laying there in a pool of blood. And I started to get up. And I looked around. And I said, where the hell am I? I didn't know where I was. I wobbled and trembled on the home. And I thought, I don't think this drinking thing is doing my body much good. And then I stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom and I looked at my face and the lines and the circles and I didn't even know whose lines and circles they were. So I started putting more and more makeup so I could find my features. You know, little pink on the cheeks and little red on the lips. And I looked again in the mirror. And I still didn't know whose features I was seeing. And then not long after, I was walking downtown one day, and I noticed this window. And for some reason, I found myself drawn to it. And it was like I was in a movie or something, and I had to just go in and see what it was. Oh, well, you're not going to believe this. It had the words AA written on it. Yeah, well. And I thought I had found God. I found I wanted the bottle less and less, and I wanted to be around my family more and more. And I was actually standing up most of the time. Though, of course, I did have to rest a lot at first, and I really did start looking pretty good in the mirror, with or without makeup. And I thought, well, I could almost be Donna Reed. Almost. Almost. Oh, I don't think I wanted to be Donna anyway. She smiles too much. Thank you. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you. That was good therapy. Thank you.
All right. Cynthia Toronto.
Bravo, bravo.
I won't get done. We have no more time left. I really appreciate this lovely place, the Parkside Lounge, hosting us with great weather for media. A reading series that got started by David Lawton at the Jujo Mukti Lounge, but it feels like we found our